Hey guys, welcome. Welcome aboard if you happen to be brand new. Welcome back if you are not. And welcome home if that fits for you. Today I want to talk about 2024. I want to talk about some themes, some blessings, some awarenesses. We'll take a little peek into each quarter. And then finally, we're going to grab a card for the unknown, right? Something that you might need to know that's coming your way, or something where a little bit of forewarning might help this situation. Let's give it a check. And this is going to be applicable for my Aries friends, right? So this will be if you have Aries in your big three, right? Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising. We'll even extend that to if you have an Aries Venus, because those are important. And I also really want to say, because I'm a big believer in understanding the energy of the people you love. So if you're a cross watcher and you are checking this out for someone that you know or love, I'm all for that. I think the more information we have, the better off we are. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on astrologically for people with Aries energy. So you have a new moon on April the 8th that happens to coincide with a big solar eclipse. You have a full moon on the 17th of October, and you have a Mercury retrograding in your sign at the beginning of April, right at the time of that new moon. Also at the beginning of April, you have Venus in your sign. She has no retrogrades in 2024. And then Mars follows up in Aries through the month of May. Again, Mars with no retrograde. For 2024. And so the other thing that's important is that you still have Chiron holding court in Aries, right? So that is a journey, and he is taking his time with that journey, and that's fine. That's what Chiron is supposed to do, because that is definitely a healing energy. So that's beautiful. You also have the North Node in your sign for the entire year of 2024. So that is about gifts, right? And as Aries, of course, you know that you are gifted, right? We know that Aries is that powerful energy of inception, that Aries is that energy of will and force and driving energy, which is quite beautiful. Ooh, look at that. What a lovely pairing. So let's talk about this, right? So your theme this year is love yourself. Now, let's talk about that, because I know some of y'all who are Aries don't necessarily have a problem loving yourself, but, you know, you can have the issue of being a little bit impulsive and maybe having some regrets, right? That's okay. You know, you guys are beautiful, enthusiastic energy, and if you have to ask for forgiveness sometimes, you know what, that's okay. As a blessing, right, you have this flying free. I unfurl my wings and fly. Well, that I think goes right along with this theme of loving yourself. And since you have so much moving through you guys in that second quarter, I mean, we'll get there to talk about it, but, you know, that is also in the middle of Aries season. How lovely is that, right? That your sun in that time will have so much support. So your awareness is a trine or sextile, which is symbiotic energy. So I would say immediately for the Aries listening to this, you know, sometimes Aries energy does not choose to ask for help, preferring to manage on their own. I have an Aries daughter and know this all too well, right? All too well. And so sometimes my Aries friends, asking for help gets you results, right? And that's just the way that it goes. So if you're going to look for some kind of symbiotic energy in terms of where you are flying free, allowing yourself to love yourself, this is about how you do this year, right? We talk sometimes about being, and in the way that we talk about being, we also can talk about doing and what we are doing, and the way that you may be doing things might be leading to this sense of freedom, right? Aries definitely wants to be independent. Aries wants to be unfettered, right? Free. But the bottom line is, we're not set up as humans to be wholly and completely autonomous, right? We are set up to be members of, part of, and that's hard sometimes if you're really simply witnessing this let's call it an unhealed need, right? To be super independent, which a lot of you Aries do. And I say that gently and I say it with love. But the fact of the matter is that sometimes you have to allow yourself to love yourself by being part of something greater. And let's see if we can find a way where we're going to create connection, right? Remembering that the Aries Libra dichotomy is that self and other, right? So if we're talking about how we're going to create energy with those who are complementary to us, right? We might sometimes want to delve into the opposite of what we are. So let's see if that comes up at all. So for the first quarter, you have the 3 of Cups, the 9 of Cups, and the 5 of Swords. So for those first 3 months, this is probably going to be a time where you're creating your habits and your patterns for the new year. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It might be a time where you feel very celebratory, where you feel good. You might have... I'm not feeling this 5 of Swords as that conflict or disagreement. I'm feeling it more of a very lively exchange of ideas, because you have so much emotional stability on top of that it doesn't feel to me like we're leaving people behind, or like we're taking a lot of liberties, or even allowing our ideas or beliefs or thoughts or patterns to create something unhealthy, especially with these overarching cards of ease that are about loving yourself, that are about really allowing yourself to be seen, which is always an exciting thing for Aries, right? Because let's be fair, like all the fire signs, you guys talk a big game, but at the bottom, you are very sensitive. You are very sensitive and quick to feel anything that feels like a slight to yourself. So I don't feel like this first quarter is very active in terms of this conflict. I feel like it's more of a getting your feet on the ground, creating, right? Creating stability, creating from your new concept of what healed looks like, what it looks like and feels like to be in that free-flying mode, to really witness the life that you're creating around you as being supported, right? And the more that you love yourself, the more you're open to that kind of support. So just maintaining that for that first quarter. That 3 of Cups and the 9 of Cups. Nine of Cups is that card of wish fulfillment, right? So make sure that you're laying the groundwork appropriately. And what I mean by that is make sure that everything is weighed against your highest and best. Make sure that you're utilizing the leverage of your relationships. And I don't mean using other people. I mean simply utilizing the resources and utilizing the assistance that's available, right? There's nothing wrong with being in a situation where you ask for help from people who you know what you need to know. Does that make sense? So if you have if you have a question about business and you know someone who has a very successful business, that's the person you're going to want to ask for help or advice or anything like that. And you need to understand that you have that, right? This Three of Cups says you have that support. You have a very wide emotional cabinet to draw from, and just make sure that you're utilizing this as a lively exchange of ideas, not some kind of fallback to create conflict. I don't see that as a thing in that first quarter at all. Now in the second quarter, so the second quarter is where you guys are busy, right? You got that sun in Aries, you're going to have that new moon and the big eclipse. You've also got Mercury retrograding in your sign, Venus in your sign, Mars in your sign at the end of the month. And then of course Chiron on the nodes. And so here's the deal. You have options in that quarter. You have 2 tens, right? Pentacles and swords. So how you gather your intel, so to speak, how you gather your data and process it is, and then you're going to put that into action in that second quarter. Very clearly to me, the path that you choose is going to really bring you your results, right? If you're starting with this firm foundation of, I've got this, I have so much support, I'm completely resourced, and I know that, and I'm moving in that direction beautifully, right? Because I understand what I have. I understand who I have to help me, and I really have a good sense of what's coming for me and where I'm going. You're going to get there, right? 10 of Pentacles, that kind of success is assured. Now, if you have not erred on the side of caution, right, and if you allowed those ideas to become weaponized against yourself, you might end up feeling a little bit defeated, right? And guess what? That's an okay thing, because either way, that's the lesson you're showing up for. So no matter what, you're still walking that path. You're still walking your path, and that's very important to remember. I think the warning here is the deeper you're going to sink those roots, right? And we're talking about cups over here in this first quarter. These are emotionally made decisions. These are felt senses, right? So if you stay in your feeling, as opposed, flying free, I unfurl my wings and fly. That's a felt sense, right? Symbiosis, that's a felt sense. Love yourself, that's a felt sense. These are not thinking decisions. These are feeling decisions. So remembering that in that first quarter, as you start to create whatever it is you're going to create in 2024, making sure that your brain is not getting in the way. And then as you take action, right, with Mars and Venus behind you, remembering that even if Mercury is retrograde in your sign, sometimes that's going to allow you that retrospective moment, right? That free fall, if you will, to see a wider perspective, to say, oh, wait, I missed that. Let me reevaluate for it and adjust, right? And as opposed to being rigid in your expectation, rigid in your anticipated trajectory, right? The key here is to be in flow, not in I know. Right? Does that make sense? So you want to be moving in flow as opposed to, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Again, you have support. Utilize your support. If you utilize your support, you're going to outmaneuver this pitfall easily. It won't even be a thing. You probably won't even witness it as even, oh, wow, look, there was a speed bump. I missed it. You'll simply just be laying those grand foundations beautifully as long as you're staying in it, right? Venus in your sign is going to really allow you to be calling in that sense of home, that felt sense. So make sure that you're staying in your heart, my Aries friends. It's going to get you where you want to go, right? It's going to be not just your navigation system, but also your propulsion system. And both are equally as important, even if you have wing power too. In the third quarter, you have the King of Wands, the Queen of Cups, and Justice. So you have some people coming in, right? Or some embodiment energy here. And so what you're going to want to look for in that third quarter are all the ways that you have really allowed your emotions to lead you. And again, King of Wands, right? This is some big Aries energy here in terms of how those impulses have served you. And so if there's a way that you have given away too much of your reins, right? That King of Wands is going to allow you to pull that back and temper what's happening, right, with that Sword of Justice. Again, right, we see these swords sitting down here on the bottom, continuing over into this last quarter, right? But we have the 5. So if you're in conflict, it's going to come up, and you're going to have to reel it back. So that third quarter is going to be a quarter of, let's call it, the tempering, right? You're going to be able to expand into your emotions and perhaps reel back some of the exterior motivated ideas, right? You're going to be able to course correct. I think that's really what I'm looking for. You're going to be able to course correct for any way that you may have gotten off course in that second quarter. Anything you deviated from what feels like home, right? What does home feel like, smell like, taste like? What does it look like? Am I in pursuit of this? Am I on the right path? Or have I diverged in some way, gone on a side quest that really just didn't materialize in the way that you wanted? This third quarter is going to be the time where you account for that and say, whoa, hold up, this isn't really working for me. And so perhaps you'll come back to center, to focus, right? That Justice card will always lead you back to center. And allow you to kind of get rid of the nonsense, get rid of the whatever is not available for perfect function, or aligned function, or feeling function, right? That's what we're looking for. All the ways where we've lit fires and they're shining in the distance, right? We get to go make sure that they're safe and accounted for, perhaps. Now, this fourth quarter, so this fourth quarter, you have the Knight of Swords, the 4 of Swords, and the 8 of Swords, right? So all of the doubts that have gotten the best of you this year, if you have not managed them, right? Again, we're talking about the 5, the 10, and Justice. All of these ways in which you could have out-thought yourself, hyper thought yourself, right? Overly criticized yourself, created conditions of self-doubt that you got hung up in, right? If you weren't able to course correct for them in that third quarter, you're going to have an opportunity to stop and really ponder. Now you have the Knight and the 4. So let's think about this. This is movement on those ideas, releasing them. The 4 of Swords is, how am I going to stop and listen to what is really being meant for me, right? Where is my true path, right? How have I healed this year? What have I come to an understanding about? Where have I seen where I was engaged in a behavior that did not mesh with my true path, my chosen purpose, my direction of choice? Now here's the thing. If you're still trying to move and yet you haven't done all of the work, it's going to feel very restrictive. It's going to feel like you're bound by those ideas. Here in this last quarter, make sure that you have gotten to this place where you've done all of this retrospective work so that you don't feel hemmed in and penned like you're hearkening back to this second quarter. That eclipse comes back in here if you haven't done that work, right? If you haven't done that work. And remember that you have that full moon in October, which is going to really loudly and clearly illuminate what it is that you're looking for. So make sure that you're paying attention, right? That's that full moon happens on October 17th. And so the way that you mind that full moon, the way you tend to your, I'm going to call it gardening, right? Don't ask me why, that's just what's coming in for you. The way that you tend to your gardening on that full moon in October will answer this question for you. That will determine whether you spend this fourth quarter trying to play catch up, right? Running after what you think has you hemmed in or penned in, or whether you're able to stop and recognize that that is just a belief, that's just an illusion, and that what you have sown over the year speaks for itself, right? You get that embodiment. So the ways that you're loving yourself, and the ways that you're really looking to angle in with that assistance. And remember, support is always available for you. Always, always, always. The way that you choose to build your year or allow it to build you, right, is going to absolutely determine whether you're in motion or whether you're frozen at the end of this year. Let's see what we have as your unknown here. Okay, beautiful. So you have beyond the ordinary. Let's look at these key concepts here. The mystical, ineffable part of life. Trusting in the invisible world without understanding it. Recognizing that some things cannot be known in advance and are not meant to be grasped intellectually. The awareness that everything is as it should be, even if it doesn't make sense, right? So this is really witnessing yourself as not only an embodiment of the mystery that is life, right, but a participant in, right? Do you trust the unknown? Do you labor the unknown? Do you allow what you don't know to keep you captive? And guess what, Aries? Because you are mostly an impulsive sign based on action, you can suit yourself this year if you really allow your heart to rule you, as opposed to getting stuck in your brain, right? Loving yourself and allowing that love to be the guiding light, the embodiment, the true north, the thing that pulls you forward, right? Allowing yourself to be invited forward, as opposed to feeling like you have to muscle it yourself. And guess what? I know, first sign, that you love to do that. I know you do. But remembering that there is power in being a part of something greater is going to be your overarching kind of theme, it feels like to me this year. After loving yourself, what you're really going to look for is ways to invite others into your experience, because I'm going to be real, Aries. Aries love to be the center of the show, but very rarely do I know an Aries who does it specifically for themselves. Most Aries that I know have giant hearts, and they want to create for something bigger than themselves. In order to do that, you have to look beyond yourself, right? You can't, one guy doesn't build a pyramid. One girl doesn't build a temple, right? You can embody those things, but you can't create the structure all by yourself. So I think, my Aries friends, that what you're looking for, is a way to create that encapsulates not just yourself, but also the beauty of all those things around you. You know, I I can't get beyond the feeling that this is the year where you balance your concept of self with your engagement with other, right? Let's talk about that as temperance. That's how we create, by pulling everything together all at once. And, you know, that might be hard for an Aries. But I think that you get to learn how to do that this year. And I think that if you choose every single time, is this honoring myself? Is this honoring everything around me? Right? I think you'll be in business, right? You're really synthesizing with your feeling state over this mental state, right? You have to learn to zip them up together. And I think that that's what you get to learn, how to transcend either or and become a both and, right? Happy both and year, my Aries friends. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for listening. And I wish you nothing but the best this year. It's going to be amazing. Hit subscribe so you can come back and tell me how it goes, and stay in touch with any other video we might do. And you take care and be super, super blessed.